Mahakumbh, and if you're wondering if we're at a real cricket stadium watching a real cricket match, well, you could be right, but we are at an e-gaming or e-cricket sporting event altogether, and the launch of that really, the founder of JetSynthesys, Rajan Navani, will take us through all the details, this innovation and what this concept means for you at home watching very, very closely. Remember, of course, cricket has been a big game in India and so have many other sports, but to decode how this will be simulated and how this e-gaming concept or e-sport altogether will take over, we have Mr. Rajan Navani with us. Thank you so much for your time in this interaction. Take us through the highlights of this innovation as a sport altogether.
Thank you, Sakshi, for being here. Well, what we are launching today is the Global E-Cricket Premier League, which we call GEPL, the world's first franchise-based e-cricket league based on a game called Real Cricket. We have been building Real Cricket for the last decade. We have over 270 million downloads for the game. That is 27 crore players, 1.5 crore players even today play the game for over an hour. From that, we pick the best 200,000, put them through a 6-week rigorous tournament and championship, and then identify the top 100, put them into player drafts, and then we identified 8 teams that we built when we launched Real Cricket 24 to really herald the era of a new sport for the world. So it's not only a sport that we believe people from India and cricket playing nations will play, but the entire video gaming industry, which has 3.5 billion gamers in the world today, that's nearly 40% of the world population, is our target market. The video gaming industry is a $180 billion global industry, and what we have built from India for the world, first for India, is e-cricket, or what we can call simulated cricket, where players actually bring the best of their hand-eye skill, mobility on mobile phones, strategy to be able to win a game of cricket which is played on the mobile. It is still not really the same game which you would play on the street, because the skills needed there, the equipment needed there is very different. Here you need very high speed bandwidth, no latency, you need a good device, you need good team capability, and the ability to then become the best version of yourself in the sport. We have identified what you have here sitting in front of us, the top 100 players of the world today who have joined us here. And it's very interesting, like any other sport from India, the champions of this sport have come from tier 2, tier 3 cities. As a matter of fact, what we found that in our top 50 players, we had somebody on a wheelchair, we had one who had a single eye. So it's a very inclusive sport. I truly believe with the Asian Games recognizing esports now as a medal sport in the future, or the Olympic Games, we will have somebody winning probably an Olympic medal, not in the Paralympics, but in the main Olympics, despite having a physical disability. So this is the power of esports, this is the power of e-gaming, and particularly in a country like India, which has so many young people, and we really want to enhance our sports aspirations. So here we are presenting this next generation of athletes, whose passion, whose everything is aligned. And the best part of this, Sakshi, is that we see a large number of people watching these others play. The first version that we had, which was just team-based, the best leading team actually lost in the final, very much like what happened in the India-Australia, cricket match. And we saw that the best players continue to win most of the time. So now we have a global ranking, we have the best teams, and now we are opening this up to a franchise ownership. Right. So it will truly become like the IPL, like any other large sport league in the world, and taking off from here. So truly excited about doing this at the Startup Mahakumbh, where all the young people from India are here. The aspirations of a billion Indians, what we say, realize this. So also want to congratulate, the Ministry of Commerce, DIPP and others, for putting together this wonderful event.
Right. So truly a fresh era, a milestone there, really. Many sitting at home wondering, what about job generation? How will this really fuel those jobs? Of course, like you said, the differently abled, those from tier 2, tier 3 participating, that is great. But what about job generation at large? And how will this really need for a different skill set altogether?
Yeah, when Minister Piyush Goyal was here a few minutes ago at our arena, there was a point that came up that this is going to create the next generation of jobs for young people. Because like any other sport, you find a lot of opportunities here, not only for, the casters, the production, the athletes, but also for coaches and for trainers, for nutrition specialists, like any other sport. As a matter of fact, the best players of this game are already, seeing endorsements coming their way. They are generating new levels of livelihoods. They are creating their own influencer creator ecosystems, working with brands and, giving them access to an audience that otherwise brands cannot access. I mean, unfortunately, the power of digital today and how that is the best way to reach multiple people. And here, to do it through a sporting environment is actually enhancing that great experience. Also, I want to say that the number of jobs that get created at the back end, if you go behind this, there's a huge amount of production set up, because you're really talking of real-time, zero latency networks operating to be able to create. That is my infrastructure for this sport, right? And we invest heavily, and that whole team that goes there, also building the sport, whether it's graphic artists, animators, engineers, game designers, economy specialists, product. So it's a massive employment opportunity around an IP, around an area that is a product from India, not necessarily India servicing the world. But that's the beauty of this entire thing that excites us so much. So truly excited about the launch of GEPL. As JetSynthesys, we build ecosystems in esports, gaming, music, entertainment, and also addressing the concerns of this digital always generation, Gen Zs, in wellness and livelihoods. So I think this is one great product that we are seeing coming out from JetSynthesys, and you'll see a lot more in the years to come.
Right. Now, of course, going forward, the other concerns that have been there is, of course, the AI era, regulation, where it's needed as far as AI is concerned. So your thoughts on that?
So, AI, interestingly, in gaming has been there for 50 years, because whenever you're playing a game, and if you're playing it against a computer, it's kind of measuring you and then making it a little harder to play. So we have dealt with AI a lot here, but even at JetSynthesys, Gen AI is something that to me has shifted the bar significantly in what AI was, and that's why it's getting so much attention, because today, it's not only identifying the intelligence, etc., but also completing the action. And I think that's taking away, some low-level jobs and building, new opportunities. But I truly believe, and as I spoke in the plenary also today, that India's opportunity to be able to create a Viksit Bharat, the dominance globally, is going to come from the ability for us to take on transformative technologies, ride it on, whether it's the digital public infrastructure or digitized world, and be able to see how we can create solutions that can solve large problems, create experiences that are way above anything else, whether it's personalized or otherwise, and really use AI, to create a new era of capabilities, of strategy. So I am one of those optimists, while I do see a big sea change happening, because of Gen AI, immersive technologies, VR, AR, mixed reality, blockchain, and chip in the brain. I mean, there's so many things happening at the same time. But I truly believe that while AI will have its own set of challenges, we can also build new opportunities. Very, very important is to build trust, to have the right ethics in AI, because like any other technology, this technology particularly, can go in multiple directions. So a strong global understanding, around standards, around what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. I think policymakers around the world need to come together to make that happen. I know India has taken a lead in that as well, and hopefully we can, build a good global dialogue around what are the right things to do with a technology like this, especially when it goes into the hands of billions of people around the world. So
Right.
that is one thing we got to think through together.
Right. Now, lastly, for a concept that is backed by Sachin Tendulkar, which is backed by Kris, Gopalakrishnan, and Adar, Poonawalla, your message to the viewers and what have each one of them brought on board, really, and the vision going forward for all those sitting at home watching this very, very keenly. As you said, look, the era is going to be of the next Gen Z, wanting to, look at this and going forward, focus more on this maybe, look at strategies really and tap onto that. But your message that, to the viewers, and what have each one of these key stakeholders brought on board?
So, you think if you draw the common thread, amongst all three of the names that you took, it's global excellence. I don't think the world has seen a cricketer like Sachin Tendulkar. I don't think I have to say anything on that. When you talk of the biggest and the best startup from India ever, I think we are at the startup Mahakumbh, and there couldn't be a better place than to talk of Infosys. Kris being one of the 7 founders, creating so much value, right? $100 billion company of market cap. I mean, he's still the largest shareholder amongst, and the excitement of about $14 billion of that going to the employees of Infosys. So if you really look at a startup story, it has really taken, the middle class of India. It has taken every Indian's dream and vision and fulfilled that for multiple people. And I don't think any new company coming out of India, which we aspire JetSynthesys to be that new age media, large company coming out from here going to the world, could have done it better than what Infosys has done. And we truly believe that Kris brings in so much, and of course a very strong technology. He was here, as you saw a little earlier, talking about the technology behind all the things that we do. How do we build the highest levels of governance and ethics in even, these areas that we are building out. And with Adar, of course, one of the largest and most successful private companies, but most importantly, saving lives. I think in the pandemic, we saw a company that stood out in the world in terms of excellence and capacity and affordability. I think the strength of Serum is the ability to bring, large number of volumes of vaccines at a very affordable price, which even the world hasn't seen. Of course, he also featured in the Times 100 people. So again, global excellence. So the 3 names you said, they all bring different aspects to JetSynthesys